What is going on, you beautiful bastards? Welcome back to the channel. I am Brandon Sylvia. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Today we are going to be diving in to what I am playing, what I have been playing lately, and we got a real treat for today's episode. I got a real treat with Game Pass. Two real deal hidden gems dropped on Game Pass late August: Midnight Fight Express and Immortality. So pumped to talk about these games. Two games that are absolutely in my top 10 favorite games that I've played in 2022. One of them,
Are you ready for a satanic fuck?
it totally shook up my brain on more times than I would like to admit, has made me emotional, has made me just totally unsettled. And I guess while we're talking about it, we might as well go ahead and get on into it. Immortality. This is unlike really anything I've ever experienced in gaming. This is coming from Sam Barlow, the creator of Telling Lies and Her Story. It's another FMV style of game where you are trying to uncover the mystery of what happened to Marissa Marcel. She's gone missing. Where is she? What happened? It's this just missing person story. And that's kind of the baseline of where I'm just going to leave that as the plot. I don't want to say anything else specifically about the plot. Leave that there, and I want you to go into it. If you have Game Pass, please do me a favor and try this out. And give it about 2 hours. If you can do me a favor and give this thing 2 hours, I think it will get its hooks in you. Because and don't go into it trying to play it like a game. I think the worst parts of Immortality is all the game mechanics. Let that story play out and just let the wave come over you. And so for the base gameplay mechanics, you're kind of sifting through different pages or different moments of Marissa Marcel's life through her filmography. You're going through her different films, and you're kind of moving back and forth between the different scenes. You're going through other little moments in her life, trying to piece together, what happened with her. And you are rewinding these film tapes to uncover. You're rewinding, fast forwarding, trying to find any little moment that could lead to the next moment. And if you find something in these scenes, you can click onto it. And if you like, say you click onto a character's face, it'll then lead you into another moment where that character's face is present, or something similar that looks, similar to that is present. And that part is hands down the most, like my least favorite part of the game. But what it does with that mechanic on so many separate occasions, specifically the fast forward slowdown mechanic, is it's so this is a game that you really can't talk much about at all. But let's just say that feature leads to, like in the 60s where parents were burning records because they thought that there was like satanic messaging in those records. It makes you feel like that at a certain point because you're so uncomfortable with everything going on. And as you're like scrubbing through this footage and you're going backwards, and you're like the justified parent from the 60s. I'll just say that. It leaves you like, it made me emotional on occasions just because of how unsettled I was. And I love horror. Those of you who have been following me know that I am a huge horror junkie. I love diving into a gripping, spooky ass horror world. I love the atmosphere of horror, but this just does it on a weird level that is, it becomes so much more granular because you're looking so close at each lens, and you're diving so deep, and you're trying not to miss any moment because that one thing that you miss on, you think that if you possibly miss it, you could miss a huge clue. So you're concentrating so hard on each section. And there'll be a time where you'll see a little shadow and you're like, wait, did, okay, but there's nobody in the shot right now. There's nobody near that. Why is there a shadow there? Am I missing something? Let me go try to click on it. And you go over and try to click on it thinking it can lead you to a new moment, to a new clue, but it doesn't. And you're like, wait, am I losing it? Is it the game? Is it me? Like, what's going on here? Is that shadow really there? You start having those moments, and the moment that really makes the game click, it's the moment I think everyone is going to share, so I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say the way that scene is set up, the atmosphere in that room, and the sudden switch, I'll just say that, it left me, like, once again, so uncomfortable. And this is a game that just relishes in making you totally uncomfortable on like I said, on a level I have never felt. I don't know if I've ever even felt this with movies, where I felt this uncomfortable playing it. It felt sacrilegious at times to be, experience. And I'm not even like an overly religious person. I'm not like it doesn't matter what my religious views are, but it just felt like something was so seriously not right. And I don't know if maybe it was just because, you're playing a game and you're so used to characters having a little bit of that lifelike quality removed. Like, you can play a photorealistic game and still be like, okay, I'm playing a game. It felt like, I'm playing with the fate of these real people. And like, even though the story has already played out, it's like, I don't know. It just felt a little bit more like my hands are controlling some horrific shit. And I feel like maybe that's even too much of a spoiler, but I think it is absolutely a must play title. I think you have to check this out if you have Game Pass. If you are a Game Pass subscriber, do yourself a favor and check this out. It for sure sold me on going back to Her Story and Telling Lies and giving them a look. I just completely, overlooked them because they were FMV games. And I was like, I'm not really into that. But I'm so into whatever this twisted ass weird mind is creating. I gotta see more of that. I don't even consider it horror per se. It's more of a thriller than anything, but it's one hell of a thrill ride. And even just the way it's like sequenced up, or how it's, I guess, shot out of sequence or told to you out of sequence, and then you're piecing it together. Like, that's the main core mechanic, is that you're going between these different moments, and it's between like the 70s and the late 90s. So you're going between these different timepieces, but one moment from and I almost don't even like explaining this because I think it's going to make it sound too mechanicky, and that might put people off. But regardless, is that you'll be in the 90s, and you'll zoom in, or you'll focus in on something in the 90s that'll bring you back to the 70s, and then the story is kind of told all out of order, and you're trying to piece everything up to figure out the way that everything played out, and who or what is who or what you need to focus in on, who or what may be responsible for her going missing. So you're zooming in on those characters, focusing in on those characters, and then that leads you to another character. And it's like having to keep track of all that, you would think it would be like monotonous or hard to do, but it's really not. It's all just pieced together very seamlessly. And I think the main reason that works is they don't really rely on the abstract too much. So like you can zoom in on an apple, and it might lead you to another scene with an apple, or a cup of coffee. It might lead you to a scene of a different cup somewhere in the overarching 30-year plot line here. But those things really don't matter. And if you wanted to mainly just focus on the characters and see the scenes play out with the characters, you zoom in on those characters and you're getting to watch the story play out that way. And so they don't really make you suffer through like having to clue in on abstract details. And it just doesn't feel like abstract for the sake of being abstract. It definitely is very unique and very different than anything you'll probably play this year. But it doesn't feel like pretentiously abstract. You know what I mean? Like it's not saying, well, the clue lies beneath the glass, and the glass leads to the river, because the water drowns from the bottom of the glass, and thy death shall be given to life. So it's nothing ridiculously pompous like that. The majority of like the abstract details just add like subtle tension to the overall feeling that you're experiencing as the player. And I would say the biggest complaint I have with the game, for one, I do think it's really long for what it's offering. Like by hour 5, I was pretty good with the experience. I didn't really need to go on much longer. And probably if I would have been a little bit smarter to piece things together and not just kind of let the story wash over me. But I do recommend doing it that way because I think it's more enjoyable just letting these sequences play out, letting these scenes play out and seeing what happens, and then just kind of going back through them, scrubbing through them later. But also, I guess maybe not in a way, because I think the length of the game, it probably took me 10 hours to finish, and I probably could have got through it in about, maybe 6, 7, or maybe even 5 if I would have been a little bit more diligent and been a little bit more efficient with my time in the game. So maybe it is a little bit my fault. But outside of that, a big thing that frustrated me a lot was the rewinding and fast forwarding. There's moments whenever you're I'll just say there's moments where you can find a detail by rewinding or fast forwarding, but you can also find a detail within the detail. And I feel like I'm going back on everything I just said about the abstract nature of it, but I promise it doesn't feel, the actual mechanic feels more abstract than the concept of what's going on in the story. But you can like find a detail within a detail, and then at moments, if you like tinker it a little bit too much to the left, a little bit too much to the right, that detail can go away. So you're sitting there like almost trying to adjust a radio dial to get the proper frequency. And I know that that's what they were going for in the feeling, but mechanically as a video game, there's just times where it doesn't work, and it feels so frustrating for a game that is so brilliant on every like story level, just so truly freaking brilliant, that it just didn't need to feel that frustrating on a gameplay level. The gameplay just shouldn't have felt that frustrating at times when you're not able to quite line up that frequency. And but it's such, outside of that, it's such an impressive achievement in narrative design in gaming. It's a brilliant, beautiful story, and the just the religious ties and the goddamn, man, it's such a great game. All right, and now let's dive into Midnight Fight Express. Was so much looking forward to this game, and it definitely lived up to my expectations. This is that kind of top-down isometric brawler created by Jacob DeWinsel. It's giving you very much Sifu and meets kind of Diablo vibes with the gameplay loop. You're going around and you're collecting these different weapons, or not collecting, but you're using these different weapons on enemies in this brawler fashion, and waves of enemies are coming at you. You're upgrading your character through different skill trees throughout the game, and it's got a narrative to it. I can't sit here and be honest with you and say I followed through that narrative a lot. I kind of skipped a lot of the narrative beats because it just I tried to stay tuned in on it for a while, and then I realized I wasn't digging it so much, and I just wanted to play the game. So I chose to opt out of getting the full experience with the story. But I just liked the gameplay so much that I didn't want that interrupted. I wanted to just jump back into the damn gameplay over and over. It was like, dessert. It was like you want to skip the meal, the entree, and dive straight into dessert because it tasted so damn good. The gameplay is so fun here, man. It's, like I said, it's Sifu with a lot more diversity with the weapons and a lot more diversity with it. Like, my favorite feature of the game in general is just the location diversity. There's 40 different levels you get to go between in this game, and they're all uniquely designed and set up with something new to look at, something new to throw your enemy up against, beat the hell out of them, and there's just cool shit where you're bouncing between like a train mission where you're fighting enemies on top of a train, and then swap into a segment where you're on a jet ski and you're riding this jet ski while a helicopter's shooting down at you, and you're shooting back up at the helicopter, and then you're swapping to a mission where you're like on a motorcycle in traffic, dodging traffic, and shooting at a jeep who has like a armed turret. And there's just a crazy amount of diversity in the different set pieces and gameplay scenarios that you're getting to experience here. It's so impressive to think that this game was initially being made by just one guy. I think this is I can't think of many games out there created by one person that give you this kind of feature rich experience, because there's customization elements. You're going in and you can kind of like I said, you can spec out your character obviously with the upgrades and stuff, but you can go in and change their clothing and change their look a little bit and kind of create your own character in a sense and give them tattoos, and just there's all this cool shit going on. And to think it was created by one guy is just truly mind-blowing. And yeah, it's a very, very special game, a very fun game. Like I said, is the story going to resonate with you on some deep, deep level? I doubt it. I will say, though, the ending kind of got me a little bit. I was like, wow, they pulled that off pretty well, especially for somebody who hadn't been following the story. I'm sure if I followed the friggin' story and I wasn't such a damn moth to a flame with the combat, I probably would have been super invested in what was going on there. But just like seeing the ending, I was like, damn, that works. That I feel something there. One of the cooler things about this game is how adaptive the difficulty is. So for instance, you'll go into a boss fight and it'll be a bad motherfucker that you're going up against. But if you go in there with an assault rifle, that boss isn't so bad anymore. Or if you go in with, a very powerful gun or a very powerful weapon, that boss isn't so bad anymore. And I just love that the kind of adaptability where, say you're in this boss fight and he's sending a bunch of his goons at you, and you're taking out the goons with the assault rifle and you waste all the ammo on them, then yeah, good luck with that boss fight. But if you kind of, you're beating up a bunch of the goons, but you see that one guy has an assault rifle, but you're not touching it, you're saving it, because especially this can occur on replay. Like after the boss kills you and you have to replay the level, you're strategizing a little bit. You're like, you know what? I know how powerful you are, so I got something for your ass. So you're beating up the goons hand to hand, and oh my god, man, I'm not gonna dive super deep into all the different upgrades and abilities, but you have to upgrade the hell out of the finishing moves on here. You get to pull off WWE style finishing moves, and there becomes such a flow state that you get locked into with this game where you are, 1-2 combos, and then the LB button, the prompt will pop up. You'll grab the enemy and you'll put them in a suplex, slam the hell out of them in a suplex, and it just becomes like when you first start off the game, you are getting a lot of lower ranks on your levels unless you're just super good at the game. But I was getting a lot of like D's and C minuses and a couple F's, and Then whenever I really got into the flow with those finishing moves, it was just like B plus A, just steady, like good scores on those final levels. And I didn't upgrade the finishing moves soon enough. I really wish I would have from the get-go been focusing on that. That way I could have just went into combat in that flow state that unlocking those finishing moves will really let you get into. And it feels like not invincible. There is a real degree of difficulty with the game, but I don't know, that you do feel almost superhuman esque at times, when you're pulling off those finishing moves and just taking out one enemy after another in that very much flow state. Like I said, like you're playing almost a Arkham style of game, and I love that flow to the combat. But like later in the game, you get this rope that you can pull enemies towards you with this rope, and at times the rope would kind of bug out on me and it didn't feel like it was working properly, but when it did work, it's so damn satisfying and just increases that overall feel to the combat where you just feel like a total badass. And yeah, like I said, just incredible level diversity, incredible boss fights, and a great adaptive difficulty depending upon how you tackle those big, boss fights. And I had issues with the games. I had quite a few bugs. I think it was at like level 12 or 13, and the game just totally bugged out on me. Like I couldn't move my character at all, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? So I went to like the button configurations and remapped the buttons and went back into the game, and I tried to map them the same way I remembered them. And I went back into the game and I was like, okay, cool, the character's moving now, so I guess I'll just use this new button configuration that I tried to do based off the old one. But I changed a couple things around, fucked it up a little bit, and so I went back to the button configurations and restarted it, or set it back to default, and then the character was moving just fine again. So I really have no idea what that was, or if that is like I have no idea. I don't know if I accidentally fucked something up, but that popped up with me. And I do think that the game took a little bit too long to really get going. And like I said, I do think if you went in and just leveled the hell out of your finishing moves up from an early start, that you might feel differently. But I felt that before I really got into that flow with the finishing moves, that I don't know, it took about 20 levels for me to really get the feel of this game. And like I said, I do think that that's probably a lot due to not focusing so much on those finishing moves at the beginning. And so I would recommend really honing in on that early on in your playthrough. But outside of that, I don't really have a lot negative to say about this game. There's like just so many. I'm thinking about the moments, the elevator scene where you feel like fucking what's his name, Captain America in the I think it was Avengers or whatever the hell movie. There's like 800 of them, but that elevator scene with Captain America, it's just so good, and you get to pull that off in Midnight Fight Express with the nightstick, and almost uncharted nature of one mission where you're jumping from like platform to platform as you're climbing the tops of this building, and you're trying to avoid a helicopter from taking you out. It's just a game that you're playing and you're just going to be smiling like, yeah, this is real good gaming fun. It's a fun ass game. Once again, two real hidden gems on Game Pass. You got to check both of them out if you have Game Pass. And next up, I'm going to briefly talk about Thymesia and Rollerdrome. We'll start it off with Thymesia. I'm on the final boss right now. It's this is another Souls-like game, but a little bit quicker, a little bit more fast-paced with Thymesia, but it's very much inspired by Bloodborne, and you are like this plague doctor who's weaponizing the plague to use that as a weapon in battle. And I got into this more than I get into most from soft clones or Soulsborne style of games. Still, I just like a little bit faster paced combat, and I know this is almost enough for me to get into this and to complete it. I don't know if I will, because when Midnight Fight Express came out, when Saints Row came out, we're not going to talk about Saints Row because I did that full review on it, and I haven't played much else of it since. But the what was I saying? Oh yeah, when Midnight Fight Express came out, when Immortality came out, those were kind of my focuses, and I didn't go back to Thymesia. I got to the final level, and I went through all the main stages, but I didn't do the side activities in those main stages. So I think I could go back to the main stages, get refamiliarized with the game, and kind of level up, rank up my character, and try to go into that boss battle a little bit more powerful. But I did enjoy my time with it quite a bit. I liked how you're like setting up these characters with your standard attacks, and you're like wounding them, and then you have to go in with your claw attack to finish them off and to really deplete the health bar. I thought that was an interesting little mechanic that I don't know I've seen a lot of. Like I said, I'm not familiar with that FromSoft genre, or that Souls-like genre so much, so I don't know if one of the From games have done that, but I liked that a lot. I also really liked how, for one, the levels are so atmospheric and so, dark and sort of moody, and they have a real horror vibe to them, while nothing in the game is terrifying or gonna jump out and scare you or anything, other than you'll have an enemy like behind a wall or something that'll try to pop out and get you off guard a little bit, but it's not like a scary game or anything. So I think anybody can jump into it, whether you're a fan of horror or not. But it does definitely have a dark, sort of depressive atmosphere and vibe to it. And yeah, it's just, you have like these side weapons that you can use, and you kill an enemy and you can like take their ability, and then just you kind of get to shape your character on how you want to play. So there's this pretty in-depth skill tree that you can bounce between. And so if you really are more like, if you I didn't use the parry much at all. I don't know. It just didn't really seem to work that well for me. But if you are really good at timing the parry, you can put a whole bunch of stats and a whole bunch of your points into the parry. But for me, I was like all about the dodging and getting my, health boosted up and focusing on my claw attacks and shit. So yeah, and like there's some cool little boss encounters. One where it's this dude he's like throwing cards at you, and they're all really difficult, and those are the moments of frustration where you've defeated a boss and you've been grinding away at that boss, and your health is almost at the very end. You're at the end of your bar on your health, and then the enemy reveals he has a second phase. So you're fighting the boss in phase 2 with almost no health. You don't have any first aid kits or whatever, or any potions, and so you end up dying, and you have to go back to the drawing board and like, do I need to respec my character? Do I need to figure out a different way to go into this battle? And yeah, there's cool moments like that. There's one section of the game that's like this dilapidated, bloody library, this blood-soaked library, and you have enemies that are like not spawning, they're slithering out of the blood and popping up at you, and just it's grotesque, and yeah, just I love the imagery there. I love the tone. There's some real cool shit about Thymesia. Like I said, I couldn't really find much use for the parry, and just the nature of these type of games really aren't my speed. I like a little bit quicker. I like the combat to be a little bit quicker. This still is very methodical in nature. It's faster than a lot of your FromSoft games, but it's still a little bit too methodical for me, and you are committing to the moves you are using. So if you plan an attack, you're not going to be able to quickly dodge out of the way or parry. Like if you press the button, you're sticking to that move. It's still not quite in that character action style of game. It blends the two together well enough for me to really get into it, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to be one I go back to, because I don't know if I really want to relearn everything and then go back through the levels and level my character up just to beat the final boss. I don't know I enjoyed the game enough to do that, but I will say, if you are a fan of the FromSoft games or Neo or whatever, then maybe this is one to check out. It's only, I think I paid $30 for it, and yeah, it's one to check out if you're craving some more of that. You just finished Elden Ring and you're craving something similar, something a little bit more like Bloodborne, but in that same genre. Then maybe give Thymesia a look. I'm sure Black Friday sales or whatever, you'll probably get it for $15. So if you're into that style of game, it's one to be on the lookout for. And I'll quickly end here with my final thoughts on Rollerdrome. The last time I did one of these What I'm Playing videos, I was, I believe, like halfway or 3/4 of the way finished with Rollerdrome. I have now completed it, and I still really, really love it. One of my favorite games of the year. Not as hot as I was when I was, really in the mix. And when I was like halfway through that game, I was like, this might be, number 2, number 3 for me for 2022. It's dropped a little bit on my list, but it's still so damn fun. And the concept is so novel and so unique. But the thing that left me wanting a little bit more was right when I came in to record that last video, or the last What I'm Playing, was when they introduced a boss to the equation where you go into, you're still doing your roller skating and all that, but they introduced a boss, and I was like, that is a twist I did not expect to see coming. It became Shadow of the Colossus, but on freaking roller skates, and I was like, please tell me that this is what we're going to be getting from this point forward as we finish these big levels, that we'll be getting like a big Shadow of the Colossus style encounter. And you don't, unfortunately. You just get that same boss again in a more like, brutal form. But I get it. It's a much, much smaller developmental team. I pray that they strike a deal with Sony, with Microsoft, with whoever, to make, even Nintendo, to make an exclusive game, and they just pump cash into Roll 7. I think this team is so talented, and I would love to see what they could do. Even just given, I don't know what Rollerdrome cost. I can't imagine it was even 50 mil. Just give them 50 mil and let's see what the hell they can crank out. Because I think that's the type of team that would take that money and find a way to utilize it by introducing unique mechanics that you don't see in other games. Because a lot of the time, the budgets get bigger, the graphics get better, the character models are designed better, more foliage and just more photorealism in the game. But in terms of unique new ideas to gameplay, you don't see a ton of that when the budget increases. So I just want one of these companies who specialize in game feel, moment to moment. How does it feel moment to moment playing it? And I think Roll 7 really, they master that. Also, quick shout out to Ollie World. I just finished I'm about to finish. I think I have one more mission on the first level, or the first kind of world, the first part of the map on Ollie World. And I just booted that up because I was like, let me throw a few extra bucks at this team, and I wanted to play the game all along through the character customization and all that. I wanted to check it out to see what it was all about. It's hard, if I'm being honest, to play Ollie World after playing Rollerdrome because, it's just not, I don't know, it's not the same. Like Rollerdrome is I really think a next level breakout. I think Ollie World is cool. It's similar to Ollie 1 and 2, but definitely more accessible, approachable. The like pulling off the tricks and staying in that flow is a lot easier and a lot more fun. But Rollerdrome is something special. It's something really special, and I want to see, even if it's just a Rollerdrome 2 with a $50 million budget, I need to see what the hell they can crank out and just go to town on giving me some unique ass gameplay mechanics. I really hope we get that. So yeah, guys, that is it for me today. That is what I have been playing over the last couple weeks. Let me know in the comments below what you have been playing lately. Would love to chat with you down below in the comments, read through what you guys are getting into, what you guys are diving into, the stuff you are digging, any recommendations, any cool indie games. I know Curse to Golf seems to be getting some good reviews, so I might dive into a little Curse to Golf. And then, yeah, in the meantime, while I'm waiting on what is next, it's September 3rd as of recording this. What the hell is the next game? Would it be like Steel Rising? I think might be the next game I'm going to pick up. So, yeah, I think that's like on the 15th or something. So we got a little bit of time. So if there's any recommendations you guys have to, bridge that gap, some stuff you've been playing, let me know in the comments, and I will try to check some of it out, especially if there's any kind of smaller scale stuff. If you guys have been playing anything that's, around that 5-10ish hour mark, let me know. I would like to dive into something in that range sometime soon. So, yeah, appreciate you all for watching. And if you're new, subscribe and drop the video a like if you liked it. And I will see you all very soon. Appreciate you guys. Goodbye.